I'm Jonathan Jones.
And I'm Matt Liston, and we work for the Gandhi Institute for Nonviolence.
This video is a brief overview of nonviolent communication by Marshall Rosenberg. Nonviolent communication has helped me deepen a relationship in my life, a very important relationship, and that's the relationship I have with my mother. Now I'm able to sit down, talk to her, empathize with her, and truly listen to her. And I express my feelings and what's going on in my life with her. Two important actions that just help me connect with myself and connect with other people.
And for me, nonviolent communication is a helpful way of communicating and approaching both myself and others. For me, it represents a set of tools that help me do what deep down inside feels right. It's a language that when I hear others use it well, it sounds effortless and obvious. But sometimes when I try to use it, I feel a little bit clunky and awkward. And I think this challenge comes up because much of the language that we use in our current culture relies on violence and domination. And so despite knowing that nonviolent communication feels right, I've learned for most of my life to use communication styles that rely on violence. I appreciate using nonviolent communication because it provides a path that I can follow to unlearn the language of violence and more fully embrace a nonviolent way of being. And so right now, we are going to show a few slides and explain some important parts of the nonviolent communication process. Conflict is something normal that happens whenever people interact and are in the same space. And we often think of conflict as a negative thing, but when we do that, we are just thinking about conflict that has been mismanaged. If we shift our perspective and think about conflict as neutral, then we can begin to focus more on our response to conflict. How we respond to and manage conflict can either push us farther away from people, or it can help bring us closer with others.
We often mismanage conflict by focusing on the strategies that people are using. Instead, if we focus on the needs that everybody is trying to meet, then we have a better chance of connecting with other people and managing conflict in a way that brings us closer to others. However, learning to focus on people's needs instead of the strategies they are using is a skill that takes practice. One way that people often skill up and build their tool set is by focusing on the 4 components of nonviolent communication.
These tools help us shine a spotlight on our own needs and guess about other people's needs as well. The 4 components are observation, feeling, need, and request. The first component is observation, and according to nonviolent communication, an observation is a description of what is seen or heard without adding a judgment or interpretation.
We often mix in evaluation when we're observing situations or events. Think of observations like a video camera capturing a scene. It just captures what's taking place without judgment or interpretation of events. The practice exercise is observation versus evaluation. Look at these 4 sentences and pick which one is an observation and which one is an evaluation. If you think it is an evaluation, change it to an observation. Susan is gorgeous. Is that an observation or evaluation? Henry was the first one who showed up for dinner last week. Observation or evaluation? The boss is procrastinating around this decision. Observation or evaluation? My boyfriend hardly expresses any affection. Is that an observation or evaluation?
For many of us, the number of words we have for calling people names is larger than the vocabulary of words we use to describe how we're feeling. Nonviolent communication helps us express and identify how we are feeling.
A practice exercise for expressing and identifying our feelings is, think about a recent conflict in your life. Identify how you were feeling using the list here. This isn't an exhaustive list, so if there's other feeling words you have, feel free to use those also.
Sometimes, when we are trying to express our feelings, we use words that are actually expressing our thoughts.
If you find yourself using a sentence that starts with, I feel like, I feel that, or I feel as if, you're probably expressing a thought instead of a feeling.
Sometimes, when we are trying to express our feelings, we use words that actually express what we think we are.
If you find yourself using words like abandoned, abused, or attacked, you are probably expressing what you think you are instead of a feeling.
Other times, when we are trying to express our feelings, we use words that express how we think other people view us or think of us.
If you find yourself using words like used, unheard, rejected, or cheated, you are probably expressing how you think other people are evaluating you rather than how you actually feel. The third component of nonviolent communication is needs. Everything we think, say, and do is an attempt to meet a need. Needs are universal. All human beings have a set of common needs. When our needs are met, we often feel positive feelings. When our needs are unmet, we often feel negative feelings.
For this practice exercise, think back to the conflict you just thought of in the earlier slide and the feeling word you picked out. Now, what was the need that was behind the feeling you identified?
By connecting our feelings to our needs, we can take responsibility for our behaviors by using the phrase, I feel blank because I need blank.
For example, this sentence could look like, I feel anxious because I need a sense of order. Or, I feel relieved because my need for stability is met. Now, using this phrase, I feel because I need, insert the feeling word and the need you picked out to make a sentence. The fourth component is making requests. By making a request of someone else, you can ask for what you need and enrich your life and the lives of others.
For this practice exercise, we want you to write down a request you could have made to someone. Was your sentence a request or a demand? How do you know?
Well, let's do an experiment. Can you accept a no in response to your sentence? If you can accept a no, then your sentence is likely to be a request. If you cannot accept a no, then your sentence is likely to be perceived as a demand. Here are some tips for making a request. When making requests, use clear, positive, and concrete action language.
Make the request doable. When used with the other components of nonviolent communication, requests of ourselves and others help us build self-awareness and connection with others.
Two main parts of nonviolent communication are expressing yourself honestly and receiving empathetically.
The four components help us express ourselves honestly. According to nonviolent communication, empathy is a respectful understanding of what others are experiencing. For our final practice exercise, we want to challenge you to have an empathy conversation with another person in your life or someone else that's watching this video with you. During this conversation, try your best to listen deeply, reflect back what you hear, and avoid advice giving.
Approach the other person with a sense of curiosity about their feelings and needs. If you get a chance, ask them, are you feeling or do you need? Using words from the feelings and needs list.
So far, we've been using conflict as an example for when to use nonviolent communication. But nonviolent communication isn't limited to just conflict.
Nonviolent communication can be used for celebrating others and yourself, for appreciations, thank yous, and self-awareness.
An example of appreciation using nonviolent communication is telling someone what they did, telling them how you feel, telling them the need of yours that was met.
For example, thank you for giving the Gandhi Institute for Nonviolence the opportunity to make this video about nonviolent communication. In the process of making this video, I have felt satisfied because it has met my need for creativity.
I'm grateful. Making this video with Matt has met my need for contributing to the lives of others as well as my own.
This has been a brief overview of nonviolent communication. If you're interested in learning more about nonviolent communication, we've listed some additional resources here.
Also, if you're interested in in-person trainings and workshops to learn more about nonviolent communication, check out our website, gandhiinstitute.org. We offer nonviolent communication courses on a regular basis.